major increase in spending of $1 billion over 2 years to combat the opioid epidemic, which, by the way, continued. In other words, politicians in Washington eventually, after like a decade, threw a big number at a problem. They didn't solve it, they just growled about it a little bit. If you claim otherwise, we will silence you. So data guys with partisan agendas have power over what we say and what we think. We shouldn't be surprised because it's not just here, everywhere. We've given fake experts with no knowledge of anything, with agendas they hide, control over policies from climate change to housing markets to polling and election results. So if you think these people are going to be content with censoring Donald Trump or banning the New York Post, unfortunately, think again. The more they screw up, the more control we give them over every part of our lives. And if Joe Biden and Kamala or whatever she's calling herself make it to the White House, they will have more power than they've ever had before. How should we feel about that? Afraid. So why was our monologue censored, and what role did big tech play in getting Joe Biden elected? Alan Bokhari is the author of Deleted, Big Tech's Battle to Erase the Trump Movement and Steal the Election. Quite a title in retrospect. He joins us tonight. Alan Bokhari, thanks so much for coming on. So we're hoping that Joe Biden will not become the president. If he does, you're going to have this alliance that is going to have consequences for the country, no?
We certainly will. And, you know, I've been covering these tech giants and what they've been doing over the past 4 years at Breitbart News. Actually, you know, let me rephrase that. It's not what they've been doing over the past 4 years. It's what political elites have allowed them to do over the past 4 years.
That's right.
All the institutions that are meant to defend the public interest just sat on their hands and watched as these big tech oligarchs developed the most powerful censorship machine for controlling and manipulating information and swaying elections that we've ever seen, and we're now all living with the consequences. Everyone who says their role is to defend the American public interest from corporate interest and special interest did absolutely nothing. And now we're looking at the possibility of, as you say, a Biden administration that is totally in bed with the tech giants. I'll give you just one example. In the 6 months leading up to the election, Google took Breitbart search visibility on searches for Joe Biden to 0. Total erasure on the world's leading search engine. So they absolutely went all in for Joe Biden. We're seeing Twitter doing it too, censoring the president in the most closely fought and disputed election in living memory. So you can only imagine what Joe Biden is going to do to amplify this. He's called for more censorship. He's called for that on the campaign trail. And if he gets in, he'll have the power of the federal government behind him. It's a very scary situation.
So may I ask, I mean, tonight there are a lot of people, many of whom I respect, and I'm paying close attention to them, looking for voter fraud, looking for cheating that may have affected the outcome of the election. I hope they keep looking, because it's important. But this seems like voter fraud and cheating and a distortion of our democracy that took place right out in the open. Why is what Google did more significant than what corrupt ballot counters in Philadelphia may be doing? It seems like it's more significant.
Immensely more significant, because where does an undecided voter go if they want to find out more information about a presidential candidate, about Joe Biden or about Donald Trump? Well, they'll go to Google. Where else would they go? And what are they going to be met with? They're going to be met with a stream of propaganda from the mainstream corporate media, which, by the way, is now funded by big tech and artificially amplified in their algorithms, even while they're suppressing their competitors. You, Tucker, they're suppressing you, they're suppressing Breitbart News, they're suppressing all of conservative media. So it's impossible to say that undecided voters weren't influenced by that in a big way. I'm sure they were. And you mentioned voter fraud. If there is voter fraud, they won't let you talk about it. Not even the possibility. They won't even let the president talk about it. So this is where we're at. This is where our ruling elites have allowed us to come, because they did nothing about the problem for the past 4 years, much as the opioid problem you talked about in that segment, that they also don't want me to talk about now.
I'm just ashamed that I ever called any of these people liberal. There's nothing liberal about this. It's fully authoritarian. It's the opposite of liberal. It's really scary. Alan Bokhari, great to see you. Thank you.